Secretary Salazar, I wanted to talk a little bit about the national response to this. The initial explosion occurred April 20th. It's now May 18th. The administration waited 9 days after the explosion to declare this a spill of national significance. The New York Times editorial board, not normally a critic of the administration, said the timetable is damning. The American people have been watching this disaster unfold for nearly a month. Meanwhile, oil has been leaking into the Gulf at an estimated 5,000 barrels per day. Some scientists now put it up to 25,000 barrels a day. Lives have been lost, people's jobs, economic livelihood are in jeopardy. And there's been a number of different ideas on how to stop the leak: the containment dome, the top hat, the junk shot, and now this undersea straw. It doesn't seem that anybody checked beforehand whether any of these things would actually work. So the American people aren't just furious at British Petroleum. The American people are also furious that the government has allowed this to happen with no real plan in place. Press reports reveal a litany of failures at the department leading up to the explosion. An Associated Press investigation has shown that the rig that exploded was allowed to operate without safety documentation required by government regulations. There was a story in the Casper Star-Tribune yesterday, front page: feds didn't make inspections on rig as claimed. It said regulation is so lax that some key safety aspects on rigs are decided almost entirely by the companies doing the work. It went on to say that the Associated Press sought to find out how many times government safety inspectors visited the Deepwater Horizon, and what they found. In response, MSS officials offered a changing series of numbers. So if the department can't keep track of inspections, how can they possibly believe that the department is properly overseeing more than 3,500 active platforms in the Gulf? And there are different reports, and this will all come out as time goes on. But it seems that, as Senator Wyden said, policies and regulations serve no purpose if the administration doesn't enforce them. Now, you now are proposing dividing Minerals Management Service into two different parts. The job may be too big for one person, yet you have a chief of staff, and it's no easy job overseeing 6,700 employees, but he's also serving as Assistant Secretary for Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, which is also a full-time job. When I voted for his confirmation, but this Energy Committee questioned his ability, or anyone, to fulfill both jobs during the confirmation process. It seems that those are both very big, full-time jobs. So I have three obvious questions. Was this oil spill response plan grossly inadequate? What needs to be changed to ensure that we respond more quickly in the future? And would the country be better served and the department more able to prevent disasters like this and provide better oversight if you had really separated those two jobs, the Chief of Staff from that of being the Assistant Secretary for Fish, Wildlife, and Parks?
Thank you very much, Senator Barrasso. Let me just at the outset say unequivocally that the President and my colleagues on this Cabinet have been relentless from day one. Deputy Secretary David Hayes was sent the day after the explosion to New Orleans, Louisiana, without a change of underwear and without a toothbrush because of the urgency that we brought to this matter. That urgency has continued from that day, and it has included members of the Cabinet, including Secretary Napolitano, who is on this matter in the day, in the middle of the day, in the night, and is relentless, along with Admiral Allen and his leadership as the National Incident Commander, Secretary of Energy Stephen Chu, whose scientific world is being brought to bear on the problem. And as you can see, with the massive deployment that is underway in the Gulf Coast, with an armada of ships and personnel and preparedness, there is not anything that is being spared to provide what is going to be and has been the most effective response possible in human history on this kind of an incident. So the characterization of slowness is absolutely wrong and misplaced. Secondly, with respect to reform efforts and inspection efforts. We have pushed hard, Senator Barrasso, not only in the Outer Continental Shelf and MMS, but as you are very well aware of, based on our communications and correspondence exchanges, very hard as well in terms of what we do on the onshore. The elimination of categorical exclusions and a whole host of other things that need to be done right. We need to have the right regulatory regime in place. And we will work on making sure that that happens. Part of the President's proposal that was sent up initially was to undo the 30-day statutory requirement, which requires an approval within 30 days by the Minerals Management Services. So those are the kinds of things that we need to take a look at. And I would say as a footnote to that, Senator, you are my good friend and you are my former colleague. I would hope that one of the things that can happen with this kind of a national tragedy and national incident is that people can come together as opposed to doing a blame game and figuring out first how we fix this problem and secondly how we make sure that it never happens again. And I very much look forward to working with you on that. In terms of your last question concerning my Chief of Staff and the Assistant Secretary of Fish, Wildlife and Parks, Tom Strickland, I will only tell you that he's an extraordinary human being with the capability of probably producing the work of 4 ordinary human beings. His days and weeks are like mine, 80 and 90-hour weeks and beyond, and along with the team that I have at this table, we have a bunch of workaholics who are doing a very good job at their assignment.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.